We're right under $500,000 a month in gross and around 50% margin or something. Facebook and Instagram is predictable. What that tells me is there's only one way left to grow a business. If you are an agency, the number one highest income skill you can have is actually to care.
This is the Content Capitalists Podcast. We talk to business owners who've used video to grow their businesses to $1 million a year or more. How they did it, what worked, what didn't. Welcome to the Content Capitalists with your host, Ken Okazaki.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Content Capitalist Podcast, where we have conversations with people who are crushing it with content marketing. Now, I've got somebody with me, and I met him not so long ago, but here's what's going on. If you're an agency or if you're a small business owner or whatever stage you're at, you got to know how to use content to convert leads and sales. And the gentleman I have with me today, he especially does this for his clients. So you're going to get a perspective not only on how someone is doing it for themselves, but how he's using the marketing for different types of industries. And we're going to dig deep and see what's working and what's not. Welcome to the show, Jamal.
Thank you for having me, Ken. I appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Jamal, just so that we can kind of set the stage and people know what kind of person you are, could you tell me a little bit about your current business? What kind of people do you help and what do you help them accomplish?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two companies. Number one, the one that we primarily talk about is an agency where we focus, our bread and butter is building scalable revenue ecosystems. That's like our unique mechanism. We focus heavily on the paid ads, but we noticed when you couple phenomenal paid ads with even better content, the marketer's job is almost so easy to the level where the client is extremely happy, and the amount of time it takes to manage the ads is much less than when you have a terrible content. So that's exactly what we do. We just build scalable revenue ecosystems to funnel good traffic to good content and convert leads into sales.
Amazing. Now, I think that everybody listening to this is going to want, more revenue in their business. Could you tell us what kind of businesses you've had the most success with up until now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the big three are, number one, coaches, consultants, agencies. I mean, funny enough, like agencies have the hardest time growing their own business. And that was a struggle that we had before we figured out like the scalable revenue ecosystem for our own company, which then we started to replicate for other industries. Number two, I would say, is anybody within a very large niche. So something like insurance, something like medicine, like very big industries that is more of a quantity than a high ticket play in a sense. So life insurance, you want to get a bunch of individuals to convert rather than 2 sales a year or something like that. So, and then the third one is local weight loss, med spa clinics. The content for the majority of these individuals is truly very bad. So when you couple good ads with good content for those people, it's almost on autopilot growing their business.
Amazing. So to all my listeners, if you are a coach or consultant, if you're an agency owner, or if you have a local business like a spa, then stick around, because I'll tell you what, the stuff I'm going to expertly extract from this conversation is probably the stuff that people pay a lot of money to get your advice on or implement. But I'm so glad to have you on the show that you're willing to share a little bit of your secret sauce. Of course, we're not going to give everything away because we don't have the time. We just have less than an hour on this. We're going to do our best to deliver as much value to the listener. Now, I want to take us way back, Jamal, to where you first realized, I want to start a business. I'm an entrepreneur. Did that happen like straight out of the womb, or was there something in your childhood or teenage, period that triggered that?
So it's a little bit of a story, but since we have a little bit of time, I'm also going to dive into it. So originally I was born in Lebanon. My dad was always a hustler growing up. He was always selling stuff, like whether it's vacuum cleaners or water filters, or just something, you know what I mean? Yeah, I was always in a sales household. And to be honest with you, I really mostly wanted to just be a doctor. So growing up, I really just wanted to be a doctor. I was straight A student. I was top of my class most of the time. And at the age of 14, my parents split, and I went and I lived in Qatar with my dad for 2 years. He had expanded his business over there. He had a glimmer of success there, is what I like to call it, because I saw the poor surroundings in Lebanon where we didn't have like the best means in a sense. And then in Qatar, I had a little glimpse of like success, having a nice house, like going to a good school, all that stuff. Now, I stayed there for 2 years and then I moved to the United States, right? 2 to 3 years. So I moved to the States when I was 17. So just to give you some perspective, I'm 24 right now. I turned 24 last month. And when I came to the States, it was almost like I had restarted. It's like I was given a blank slate, new page. What do you want to do? Here, I was like, okay, so I've seen the success in business, but I don't really want to have like a business. I didn't even want to be a business owner, to be honest with you. I wanted to be a doctor. And I went to school for that. I went to university for that. And there was a period of time during my freshman year where I was working with my dad, where he opened up a beer and wine store, and their sales weren't so good. And the reason I mentioned this side story is to mention this was my first intro into marketing, other than the fact that I had been trying at the time to build all these drop shipping stores and Shopify, print on demand. Like the amount of failures that I've had, I can't even count them. You know what I mean? So at that time, during the beer and wine store phase of my life, my dad's store was not the most successful. And it came to the point where he was like, all right, this business is not going to work. I just got to get rid of as much product as I can. So he was like, Christian, can you just set up some sort of Google ad for me? Like I've seen those sponsored ads, like trying to sell some products. And funny enough, like the store was literally closing in 3 days. I didn't know what I was doing. I just clicked whatever I thought made sense. And we sold more per day in those 3 days than we would every single month before that. And to me, I was like, wow, that's awesome. But then
were you driving traffic to the store, or were you like mailing these things out to people?
No, so it was like Google ads for like a local listing. And I was just saying liquidation sale. Like I didn't know what to say. You know what I mean? There was no content behind it. It was simply like a PPC ad. And that was my first glimpse of like success when it comes to like marketing.
Were people ordering these off a shopping cart online, or were they just coming to the store?
In person, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And then from there, I went back to college because obviously I was still in my route to being a doctor. And I was like, all right, well, I know how to market a little bit. Maybe I can make some side income. Because at the time, I was living off my student. I didn't really have loans per se, but like whatever the government would give me to study, right? And that would leave me with very little money for rent or whatever. And at that time, during my freshman year, my dad would help me out here and there whenever there was some sort of like rent payment or something serious, because at the time he was still helping me out. And then after he cut me off, I was like, I have to figure this out, right? And I started to do all these online stores, and I had credit cards, right? And credit cards was something new to me. You know, we didn't have that in Lebanon. We didn't have that growing up. So to me, I thought, oh, I can swipe my card and it goes through, you know, I can buy stuff. And funny enough, I didn't go shopping. I didn't go crazy on that side of things. What I did is I actually used my credit cards to run ads to my own stores, but they would fail every time and my credits would rack up. And at that period in time, I had about 14K in limit. And there came a time where that was all maxed out. I couldn't pay it back because I wasn't making any money from my stores. So I even remember like pulling up to the gas station, not being able to fill up my car with gas because I had maxed out on my credit cards and I had maybe $20, $30 in my debit card. So literally like the low of the low. I know it sounds like a marketing story, but I swear to God, this is true. And then my rent was due in about 7 to 10 days. So I was like, okay, I hate this Shopify thing. It's not working out. Clearly, like I keep losing one time after the other. But I had a very powerful mindset. You know, I always believed that I would figure it out. I'm a big believer that there's always a solution. Whenever something really bad happens, I'm never really stressed because I always know there's a solution. So I really sat down. I was like, what is the one thing I can monetize? What is the one skill that I can sell? Because I'm clearly not very good at selling products. So let me see if I'm good at selling skills. And I was like, well, the only time I've ever had any success was back at the liquor store days when I actually did local ads. And that's the reason I say that story is to reference back to it. And so I pulled up my computer. I was sitting on my girlfriend's couch. I had like 7 to 10 days to pay my rent, which wasn't much. It was like $750. And I was like, I'm going to have to convince someone to give me a $1,500 to $2,000 to run their ads, or I'm homeless, you know? And I started calling every single business that would show up on Google. I literally went to Google Maps and I would start calling them in order. And it was just rejection after rejection. People were nice and still rejected me. People were rude and obviously rejected me. And eventually one guy said to me, I spend $100,000 a month on Facebook ads. What do you know that I don't? And I literally quote, this is word for word what this guy said. And I sat there frozen for like 0.5 seconds because I've never seen $100,000 before. So what do I know that he doesn't? That's a very good question, you know? And I said to him like the most random thing. I said, well, are you running lookalike audiences? This is like something that's so simple that is like 5 clicks, right? And the guy was intrigued that I challenged him. So he invited me over to his furniture store, which is what he was advertising at the time. And believe it or not, the guy sat down with me for 30 minutes and wrote me a check for $1,000 and said, you get one of these every 2 weeks for the next 3 months, run my ads, show me what you can do. So I was able to pay off my rent, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like the fact that this individual trusted me to grow their business was mind-blowing to me. And my expenses were my knowledge and like a little bit of my time in order for me to actually make something of myself. I was like, this is the business for me. And that's where everything started.
As you're going through that, I did not want to break your flow. And I love that whole progression. Couple things I'm interested in is when you're growing up, do you know, like while you're still with your family, with your parents, do you know what like the household income was roughly in terms of US dollars?
Maybe like $1,000 a month, 1,500.
Okay, and that's your family income.
Yeah. And me, 2 brothers, my mom and my dad. So, I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, it's definitely a different conversion over there, but it's mostly paying rent and food.
And would that be considered like when it comes to the averages, like when you were going to school and stuff, were you consider like the poor kid or like average, or like how does that pan out over there?
I would say I was probably on the poorer side, but I was better at not showing it, if that makes sense. Definitely not the wealthiest, and I would definitely say I wasn't the one in the worst situation either. So I'd be fully transparent. So maybe somewhere in the middle, a little bit on to the lower side. But I'm grateful for everything that my childhood taught me.
Of course, because what I'm finding is that the people who work the hardest for their gains financially are the ones who have contrast, right? You've seen what it's like. And I don't know about you, but for me, I come from a really, really poor background too. And a lot of what drives me is actually fear of going back to, because I know what it's like to have nothing. And that there is some fear there. And I'm just like, I can't screw this up because we're not going backwards, that's for sure. So let's transition to that first paying job where the guy said, have a look at this. When you got that first check, like, were you like surprised? Were you like, oh, or was the feeling more like, hey, yeah, eventually it was going to happen. I got it. Like, tell me that feeling.
I honestly felt relieved more than anything because honestly, out of the 1,000 he gave me, 750 went to rent. So like I mentioned before, I was really just super glad that I wasn't going to be like without a home. You know what I mean? I just don't think that that's me. You know what I mean? And I FaceTimed my dad in the parking lot because I was so excited. And even my dad didn't believe me. He was like, well, the check is going to bounce. That's a fake, So I got into my car. I opened the little thing on the right side and I pulled out a pen. I signed the check and I scanned it into my bank app and it went through. So I was like, what the hell? Like, that's crazy. That went through, and obviously it takes a couple days for it to render. So for the next couple days, my dad was messing with me, telling me to check. But like I said, like the first glimmer of success is really like the little things. You know what I mean? The I was right after calling 500 people and getting rejected 490.
Was it 500? Do you keep track of that?
Not really, just like a figurative number. Like
How many days was this of like calling?
Yeah, I would say it was like probably 5 days. My rent was due either in 7 or 10, something like that, something around those like timelines. Like if I really told you the exact days, that story would be too fake. You know what I mean? Like it's not true. If someone is like that accurate, I'll be honest with you. I was just super happy that I got paid that $1,000, and that made my day at the time. So
Yeah. Did you frame that check and you have it up somewhere?
definitely not. But that's a good idea. I should have done that.
No, it's all good. So that got you into the track of realizing, hey, this, like selling my services is the way to go, and you enjoy that. And what was the next like big jump for you? Like, how did that happen?
So that's a great question. I actually worked on this individual's account for 3 months. I actually made them a ton of money for their furniture store. Like their scale skyrocketed. They had videos with 2, 3, 4 million views on their Facebook page. Like I actually did a phenomenal job for them. But the thing I realized there is I got comfortable. And it's so funny. In every stage of business, I learn new lessons to take me to the next stage. So if I'm not at that next stage yet, I'm looking for an answer at the current stage I'm at. I'm not waiting for some outside factor to happen because I know the answers are right in front of us, right? After the 3 months, this individual did not renew with me. And that's where I learned my first lesson. No matter how much you make someone grow, if you don't show them and tell them, they're never going to believe you. So they're never going to know, right? So I decided that, all right, one of my key things is I'm going to have like some sort of ROI calculator where I show them how much they paid for ads and for me and how much I made them. And I want to present this to them once a month or once every 2 weeks in order for them to see my value, because me seeing my value is irrelevant if the client doesn't.
Amazing. And so this guy lets you go. And from there, what was the next move for you?
Back to square one, baby.
Just cold calling.
No, so I watch a lot of individuals online, and all these successful people kept saying, find a mentor, find a mentor. And I was like, where do I find a mentor? Like, I'm new to this country. I don't know anyone. So I decided to just go on hashtag Tampa business. Tampa is like the city we're located in. And I was like, I'm just going to message these people on Instagram. Funny enough, I didn't know who Kevin Harrington was at the time. He's part of BA as well, the mastermind we go to. But I actually messaged him. I didn't know who he was. I was like, hey, you want to be my mentor, you know? Obviously, he didn't answer, but a couple individuals did. And I met with them, and a lot of times I just did not have a connection with them. And the one person that I felt like some sort of relation to was Amel, who is my partner today. And I was like, well, this guy is doing digital marketing. I'm doing digital marketing. He's doing better than I am. Like, I want to learn from him. So once we connected, I figured out that even though he does well, he's very good at selling, maybe not so much so on the service side. So that's why I was like, well, I clearly need to call hundreds of people to get one person to say yes to me, but I'm very good at the service side. So what if we like combined forces and partnered up and did it that way? And that was kind of the rebirth of GenTech. So GenTech was there before me, and then was reborn with me as a new partner. And that's how we were able to scale. Right now we have clients all over the world. You know, I mean, we can dive into numbers as well if your audience is interested in stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they are. I think that a lot of people, they say very general things, but if you're willing to go into a little bit of like, what's your average client paying you? What's like how many you have and things like that, and how long it. I think though what my listeners really interested in is kind of scale of time, because I don't know about you, but I've had this feeling that I was always falling behind, and I always felt like, well, how come I'm not, like I made $1 million last year. How come I'm not making 10 million this year? Because Grant Cardone said we could 10x shit, but then in reality, like, what are the people around us actually doing? And how long does it really take to kind of get to these different numbers?
So I'm a big believer in patience, but not being patient and sitting down and doing nothing. That's just what a lot of people do. I'm like a huge go-getter. Like for me, like it's all about like, let's do it. We'll figure it out along the way. Like I am not sitting down and thinking about this for more than 0.2 seconds if I think it's a remotely good idea. So when it comes to like numbers, our average client starts off with us on a 3-month term just because we want to build out the entire ecosystem. It does take some time. It does take some testing. So our flagship product is $23K. That's what majority of people, like 95% of individuals, do with us. And obviously that price point is not for your average small business. It's more so for bigger businesses, medium size, I would say. People making at least 500K a year plus. And then from there, we go on a month-to-month basis. That is at about 4K a month, just to manage the entire ecosystem, make sure everything is good, run the ads, grow the business. And then obviously, it's not just about them paying us, because we do turn away individuals, because a lot of people, they have 25K to their marketing budget and they want to give us 23 of it. I'm like, I'm not going to take this. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have ad spend. So if they can't match at least what they pay us with the ad spend, we usually turn away the clients, unless it's a very unique situation. And then as for the marketing company, we're currently averaging about 160K a month in MRR. That's like on the 4Ks. And like, obviously the 23Ks, that varies. Typically, like, I don't really care about the 23. I care more so about the 4, even though it sounds counter effective. But I'm trying to build long-term partnerships. I don't want to work with 3 months with someone and then no longer work with them. I think that's a waste of my time and theirs. And then as for our other company, we're right around like 300 in MRR as well, 300K. So altogether, I mean, you can consider it like right under $500,000 a month in gross, and you got around 50% margin or something like that.
That's amazing. And tell me a bit about your team structure. Like, do you have like remote work, or is that all over the world? Do you have a big office, or is it just the two of you running everything?
No, imagine, that would be crazy. No, so we do have team members that come to the office. I would say 9% of our team comes to the office. Actually, no more. There's only one person that doesn't come to the office, and we just were able to make a deal with them to where they could move to Tampa so they could be in person. I was a fan of remote work. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. I just think in office, it's just so fun. It's everybody makes more. Everybody has better time. Everybody's more focused. We have challenges. We play video games at the end of our workday sometimes. You know, we play FIFA. Things get heated, you know, but overall, I just think it's a better environment. Not even just for me. Like, I don't really care about the money. Like, I'm already set. You know what I mean? But overall, like, I just feel like my team is happier. And we talk a lot about personal development. I tell them we're not going to build a better company if we're not going to build a better us first. So it's more so like, I really talk to them about like things that are completely unrelated. Like, are you working out? You know, or like, what time do you go to bed? Like, have you tried sleeping 1 hour early or 1 hour later than what you usually sleep? Like, how does that affect your day? You know, like, just really know my team on a deeper level, because I'm a big believer in small teams, like lean and mean, which is why we can keep our margins bigger, but also at the same time, like, pay more for better talent, and train up better talent to be like exceptional as well. So funny enough, both of our companies, we run them with a team of like 15 people. It fluctuates right around like 15.
Amazing. Great work. Now, like, I love everything we've gone through so far. I think the listeners at this point are probably going to be like, could you teach us something that, you know, that is practical for someone who's getting into marketing for themselves, or maybe they're looking to hire an agency or build their own internal team or teach themselves. I don't know. People are at different stages. I'd love it if you could walk us through that first ad you ran for your dad. What was it? A text ad, an image ad, a video ad? Tell us about that.
That was the worst ad ever, but it worked because I personally looked into it, as this is my business too. And I really tried my absolute best to make it the best ad possible. It was just a text ad. It was nothing crazy. But I mean, my tip for the people watching, if they are an agency or they're looking to hire an agency, so I'll just give you each one like one by one. So first things first, if you are an agency, the number one highest income skill you can have is actually to care. You know what I mean? Most agencies, they close a client, they treat it as a sales company. They don't treat it as a marketing agency or a marketing company. They close the client, they set up the ads, and goodbye. You know what I mean? Like, they will never talk to that client again. And if they do, the client, like, I've heard of horror stories of clients trying to reach to the marketing company. Like, my objective is to annoy my client to the level where they're like, bro, I know you're killing it. Leave me alone. You know? So that's one thing that I find is huge. Like, if the company cares and they treat their client's business as theirs, growth is not a problem.
I mean, that's across the board for any service industry, isn't it? Like, and I think that there's there's too much messaging out there about selling, selling, selling. Selling is important. Like your company wouldn't exist if you can't sell. But the emphasis on that is like I'm seeing, people whose names I won't mention, people who are actually my clients. And I think that it's just what gets the attention because it's what's sexy. It's like, like with bodybuilding, they sell the abs, right? Like these health programs. But there's a lot more to health than being able to see your abs, right? But that's just the visible thing. People get excited by the big numbers. But 100% agree with what you're saying. It's actually caring. And I did not understand that concept until I met somebody who I worked with, who was one of my clients. And I realized this person didn't care about their clients. And that made me feel very weird when I came to that realization. So really good point. Thanks for clarifying that. I want to stick a little bit into like we're going to unpack a bit more about that. But what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes that people are making? Let's say that their company is making up to like $1 million a year. They're kind of hitting that ceiling. And you probably see these people coming into your business and asking for help. What mistakes are you finding over and over the most often in their like ad strategy or their content strategy?
That's a phenomenal question. So, because I was there, I was also stuck at $1 million for like pacing $1 million for like 8 months straight. I was like, why do I have the same MRR? I'm still like closing deals, but I'm also losing clients at the time. So I was like, what's going on? Like my business is not set up to scale past this number. And I'm a big fan of cars. I don't know if you are. Like, I love cars. And I describe it like this: no matter how hard you're flooring a 250 horsepower car, you can only go so fast. But having, for example, a 600 horsepower McLaren, even if you barely touch the gas, you're going to go faster. So the business you built to $1 million is your baby, because maybe it's the first business you built to $1 million. And most people that do get stuck at $1 million are people that is the first time at $1 million, is because they built their business to that level doing certain things. And they think, to grow, I need to do more of what I'm already doing. And that's a mistake, because you can't floor it harder on a 250 horsepower car. You need to change to a different vehicle. You need to build a business that is scalable past that point. That's why my second company, in the first 30 days, we had 250K in MRR, because I already know how to do that. Like, I already did it before. So I didn't start the business without the knowledge of how to grow past that, right?
And what are the key things that were the most distinct differences between the first and second business that allowed it to scale that quickly?
So I think it's my belief in this quote, and I'm big into quotes. They really did change my life. It's 10% of a watermelon is a lot more than 100% of a cherry. So when I first had my first marketing company, I owned 100%, but I only had one client. With my marketing company, I own 50% because I have a partner. But now this company is making like 160K a month, right? My third company, I found a third partner, and now I own 30% of a business, but that business makes 300K a month almost, right?
So it's finding the right partners who have complementary skills that you don't. Would you say that was the kind of the key that you've unlocked that?
Exactly. Like entrepreneurs feel like they can do everything. And as individuals, sure, we can learn all skills, but why invest all this time for that little piece of the pie that you could have earned way more by just sharing? So, I mean, like I said, 10% of a watermelon, I'll 100% take that choice now any day.
Amazing. Let's talk about content strategy, because I know that your clients, they're probably hearing stuff from everybody. Like, you got to get on TikTok, you got to get on YouTube, you got to get on podcasts, you got to do email marketing, and they're probably all true. And of course, run ads. Tell me about mistakes people are making with content marketing that you're seeing in your client base.
So it's funny you say that, because I was actually thinking about one of the posts that you recently made. I think it was either today or yesterday. You said quantity or quality, right? And I feel like that is the first mistake that everybody does in content, right? Either they didn't, the majority of people don't even start, you know what I mean? Because they're too afraid of their quality, but they don't understand the fact that whoever you are, I don't care what your budget is, your first video is going to suck compared to your 100. Like, it doesn't matter. And And that's why when it comes to my Instagram, obviously I want to keep the quality high. Like we have a very high production in-house team that we literally built out just for our content. But I said to myself, when I look at my Instagram, I don't look at my following count. I look at how many posts were made on my account. For me, the objective right now is 1,000 posts, right? I'm right under that. I think I'm at like 800 or 700, something like that. But nevertheless, my goal is 1,000 posts, and then 2,000, and then 3,000. Because that's the thing is, I'm a huge advocate for quantity. There was a study that was done at like an Ivy League school. I don't recall the exact school, but they gave the class, they split the class in half. Half the class had to do a project a week, and one half of the class had to do one project for the whole semester. And their objective was like, you guys do quantity, you guys do quality. And at the end of the semester, the last submission from both groups, it turned out that the quantity group actually outperformed the quality group by a lot, even though they had way more time to work on it. And that's why I'm a huge advocate for quantity, but quality should never suffer. But quality always upgrades with quantity regardless. So I don't think they're different. I think they're one of the same. They're two sides of the same coin. I think if you focus on quantity, you're going to grow regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was trying to say in that post and just is, it's not a question of quality or quantity, because when you're starting out, it's the quantity that will get you to quality. You get good at running by running. You get good at speaking by speaking. You get good at cycling by cycling. You get good at content by creating more content. And I don't know why people get it in their skulls. Like, I think I do know what it is. The reason why people want it to be perfect is because it's the public image of themselves, and they don't want anyone to think that there's any flaws in anything they do, so they never get started, or they try to make a masterpiece that it's actually more cringy to try to make a masterpiece and fail than to just try to put something out with your phone and fail, because it's cringy to know that that person hired a professional crew and everything, and it still looks like shit, because it will look like shit toward the beginning, and you just have to accept it, but you got to do it anyway. So,
I mean, my golden nugget for the audience, you want to grow with content, I'll keep it very simple. Try to beat this goal. Try to post so much that your actual friends in real life want to unfollow you. When that happens, you've done well.
And are you also seeing this with your clients? Is this what you advise your clients as far as like personal brands go? I know you said coaches and consultants is a big part of your client base.
100%.
One thing that I found, and I don't know if this is true for you, because you run ads too. What I tell my clients is you put a shit ton of content out, and instead of hypothesizing, let's make the perfect ad. We got this, $10,000 or $100,000 a month budget, whatever that is. You want to, hire a copywriter, hire the video editor, the director, everything. And there's a good chance it's going to do well. But the truth is nobody knows jack shit until you actually put it out there. But what I say instead is let's create 30 videos that some of them are contrarian, some of them are like feel good, some of them are just fact-based, but we're going to create 30 1-minute videos. And we're going to put them all out organically. We're going to wait a couple weeks and then see which one does the best, and then turn that into an ad, because we already have proof that organically you're going to get more reach. So why the heck would you not test first? And I just do that approach, and you find the same thing. Even if you don't have that specific framework in mind, by putting out a whole bunch of content, if you're about to make an ad, you just have to look at your history. Which content did the best? And then you could either take that very video and turn it into an ad by just changing the ending, or you could reshoot it, but with the same message and then just a slightly different context.
No, you hit the nail on the head, man. That's exactly it.
But you won't figure that out unless you put out a whole bunch of content. And that's what people are not seeing. It's the quantity that gets you to quality. Tell me right now, what platforms are you serving your clients on as far as like running ads?
So we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Google, Snapchat, Apple, and then sometimes we have Amazon ads. The reason you see me look up is because I have them all bookmarked on my computer in order. So
that's pretty much everything except for Bing, right?
Yeah. We don't do Bing or Taboola. We've been asked about that, or Google Store ads. Those are the only ones we don't do.
Yeah. So let's just do some lightning round questions. When it comes to coaches and consultants, where are you seeing the best ROI? Which platform?
Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram. When it comes to local services?
Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram is the best for everything, in my opinion.
So why even bother with the rest? Tell me that.
So that's the thing, is having all your eggs in one basket is very dangerous. And plus, Facebook and Instagram is predictable. That's my favorite word in marketing. Everybody wants the 100x or the 20x or whatever. I think Facebook and Instagram is the best because I would rather have a 4x year round than have a 12x for 3 months and then back to 1.2, So, or whatever, because things do fluctuate. I find that Facebook and Instagram is the highest success rate. And then obviously like the order is like Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok, YouTube, and then the rest. Obviously some people may disagree with me. Some people are like huge advocates for Snapchat or whatever. I mean, for me, I just speak from experience. I'm not speaking on the true, what is the best platform. I think if you have all of them, you have a good average. And if your Facebook is phenomenal, great, add on another platform, even if it doesn't do as well. Because what happens once Mark Zuckerberg decides to disable your account? You're stuck now with square one. Like, it makes no sense to me. Everybody should have all platforms running at all cylinders.
Amazing. Now let's talk a little bit about where you see the industry going. Like AI has made a huge shift in content and in ads and in writing. Well, pretty much everything to do with online business. And if you haven't caught on yet, then you're way behind. I'm speaking not to you, Jamal, but to the audience. But how have you seen it change in your business and in your customers?
I love AI. It makes my job of coming up with ideas way easier. It saves my team time because my team used to come up with ideas for me. I don't want them to waste their time on such a low ROI activity. And when it comes to AI, when you say AI and content together, the only thing I can think of is AI becoming too good to where it can replicate me in videos. And maybe that is the future. I'm never the type of individual to claim I know what the future holds. I'm a very simple business owner. Good artists copy, great artists steal. I find out what the biggest players in the game are doing, and I just take that and try to make it better. And that's really all it is.
Okay. And are you seeing the way your business runs? Are you making any preparations for some shifts coming up because of technology? Or better yet, better question is, are you seeing a shift in the landscape of social media and advertising that people should be looking for or being careful about when planning their businesses?
100%. So the thing is, the majority of people who run Facebook ads, they fail, or any type of paid ads. And same thing with content. The majority of people who post content are not going to blow up, right? But the thing that I see the most is that CPMs are rising. The cost of attention is increasing, and the amount of that attention available, like that you get from an individual, is decreasing. So like the attention span for a video is like 2-3 seconds now, right? CPMs are also rising. What that tells me is there is only one way left to grow a business. You still need to post your videos. You still need to run the ads, even at higher CPMs. But what you need to do is you need to increase your lifetime value. If a client used to be worth $100, figure out how to make them $2, figure out how to make them $3, maybe even figure out how to make them $5,000, right? So to each business their own. But once you sit down and really restructure the business to increase the lifetime value, charge them more, but give them way, way, way more than what they paid. It doesn't matter what the CPM is. I don't really care. I would run my ads if my CPM was $1,000, right? Because I know I'm going to figure it out at some level.
Amazing. So you're absolutely right. And every single day, every minute, there's going to be like another 1,000 people that are online that weren't before. And there's a good portion of those people who are going to be creating content. So the amount of content that is out there is exponentially growing, and that it is no wonder why there's no way that you can continue to get the same, ROAS on your ads. It's just is not physically possible. So really good point there. Let me ask you, if there was somebody who's looking to start advertising their business, right? What do you recommend? What kind of people should be looking to learn and do it for themselves? What kind of situation would you hire an internal team member? And what kind of situation would you hire someone like you, for example?
For sure. So I believe, first of all, that all business owners should know how to, obviously to a certain extent, should know how to advertise for their own, just so that they know at least the terminology, just so that they at least know what their marketing company is doing. even though I have a marketing company, I'll tell you, 95% of marketing companies, they suck. They really do. They're really bad at their job. They're really bad communicators. They're very bad business owners because the barrier of entry is so low. You could wake up tomorrow and open 5 marketing companies with 5 different names, and you own 5 different new marketing companies, right? So what I suggest is learn the terminology, only work with people that have a track record, look at credibility, where have they been featured, who has talked about them, but also that's still not enough. What you need to look at is, do you trust this individual, right? Obviously, to do business with someone, you have to trust them at some level, but truly, like, do they care about your business? Are they talking to you about your situation and your problems, or are they talking about their paycheck, right? So all of these things, and I would say, like, if you believe your time is worth more than $500 an hour, hire a marketing company, no doubt about it. And if you believe your marketing company is not that good, either look for another one or hire 2 marketing companies to compete for better results. A lot of people, they hire me seasonally. They pay me like an hourly rate. Let's say we agree on like $1,500 an hour or something like that. They're like, hey, can I like fly you out, come into my in-person office and vet my marketing team? Right? So I like go in, I start asking questions, and most people don't even know the answers to basic questions like, are we running Google ads? I don't know who has access, like, no, like these are very important things. You need to know these things. And it's crazy to me because businesses that are so huge, that are crushing it, people spending like $2-3 million a month, don't even know where half this ad spend is going. It's ridiculous to me because their marketing company is so negligible because their marketing company is on a base fee. When you get paid the same thing every month, their companies, now it's routine. It's a chore. It's no longer a pleasure to work with that individual. And most marketing companies, they don't structure their back end properly with their own internal team to keep their team members motivated to perform better and know how to track proper KPIs. That things really just like, sure, you're spending $2 million, $3 million. You're obviously going to get some sort of results. There's a whole lot of people looking at your business. But are you squeezing the lemon to the last drop, or are you just moving on?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And I've done my fair share of hiring marketers who've done really terrible jobs, gotten no results, picked up their paycheck, and by the time I realize what's going on, I've already paid them a bunch of money, and it's just a pain. And it's those kind of people who make all marketers look bad. But the truth is, there are a lot of bad actors, but there's also people who have good intentions, but seriously aren't good at what they do. They think they're better than they are. They had success with one person in one niche, so then they think they can do it for, it's repeatable, but a lot of times it's not, and they drink their own Kool-Aid, right? So I've seen that happen. It's a nasty pattern, and it's something that we just need to get more transparent about, I think. We're coming close to the end of this.
You're getting bored of me already?
No, it's just that it's the time.
Joking, of course.
I love chatting with you, man. I love it. When you are working with clients and you bring someone on, most people have, and you've got a pretty scalable business. So what are if you were to break down the general steps, like for example, when someone works with my agency, the first thing I do is I want to be super clear on what exactly their goals are, right? And the second thing I ask them is, what do you not want to do? Like, do you like twerking? Do you want to lip sync? Like all these kind of things, right? Because we do content creation, right? What do you not want to do? And how much time do you want to commit? And with these 3 questions, my team is able to create a plan. We present the plan, and then we go back and forth until they're happy with it, and it's something repeatable for 10 years. And if they don't think they can do it for 10 years, then we adjust the plan, right? And typically they don't. We adjust in between, but I want everything to seem long term. In your case, what do you do to ensure that you could help your clients succeed? What's that process?
So I think it's a lot of expectation setting, because when it comes to hiring a marketing company, people are very different after they're a client than before, right? So a lot of times before someone's a client, they're like they want to grow their business, they're ready, like they're excited, all this stuff. And then once they become a client, they no longer allow us to increase their ad spend, even though they're profitable, even though they have the operations to handle new business. It's so weird. They have this fear of of letting go of the power. And that's why I like to work with much bigger businesses, because they're already comfortable, because the CEO is so far away from everything that the business is just like self-sustainable. You know what I mean? When you're talking with the actual business owner, the business is not that big, you know? So, I mean, in content situation, it might be different because obviously the CEO is probably face. But when it comes to paid advertising, I like bigger businesses because they allow us to grow. They are very numerical, very logical buyers. They're not emotional. They look at it like, okay, I spent 100K, I made 300. My costs were 100. We made 100 profit. Cool. Can we spend $500,000 and make that same thing happen? So it's more so like this. And I'm not throwing out these like numbers just because like I've literally sat down on conversations where it's been like word for word, just like that.
Amazing. Final question. Well, actually, I have two more. Your dad, I remember you said that when you got that first check, he was teasing you, he's going to bounce. What does he feel about your success now?
He's so proud, man. He posts me on his Instagram all the time and he tags me so that I can reshare it, but I don't reshare it because I don't mind my Instagram. No, but he's extremely proud. And it's so funny because when I told him I'm going to quit medicine and focus full time on my business, he was like, this is the worst decision, you know, like.
But that's funny because he was an entrepreneur too, right?
Correct. But he felt that he came to this country, he sacrificed everything so that we had to make something happen on the education side of things, which I respect. I totally get where he's coming from. But, you know, I saw something that he didn't. And even today, like when we sit down and we talk about business, I feel like I earned that level of respect of, okay, Christian figured it out in the United States. Like he knows what he's talking about. He's not just like BSing, you know? And I feel like that to me is worth gold, because when someone is so unhappy that you're making a decision, but then they are so proud that you broke their word in order to make that decision and you actually pull through, like that to me is worth more than any amount of money in the world.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. Now, toward the end, we're probably have anybody who's listened to this point is deeply interested in your story and what you shared in the wisdom that you imparted here. So how would someone who's interested in finding out more, potentially working with you, what's the best place to go? Also, what kind of person should not go and click that link that's down below? Tell us about that.
So what I would say is like, if you want to grow your business, I'm more than happy to sit down with you or one of my team members to have a chat. It's not more so about who doesn't. If you don't believe that you want to grow, and honestly, if you reach this point in the podcast, I don't really think anyone that's in this point of the podcast isn't a qualified individual that wants to grow. So what I would say is like Instagram is probably the best way to reach me. Even though my team is the one who posts the content, I'm the one who looks at my own personal DMs. And obviously the link in my bio is a direct connection to my team. And it's at Christian Jamal. So ChristianJamal. That's my personal. And then at GenTech Marketing, GenTech Marketing is our company's account as well. We have 3 amazing people managing our GenTech account. So anything you send over there, they're going to get back to you in 2 seconds. So
amazing. Thank you so much. So guys, if you're listening, then I do check it out. If nothing else, subscribe so you can see what updates are coming out and you can follow him. But I think it's really worth having a conversation with the people you listen to on podcasts. I've done this multiple times and it's so surprising. Some of the best ones, and I ask them, how many people click on this? And they're just like, oh, like 1 or 2 a week. And I look and they've got thousands of downloads. So a lot of people, they don't click, they don't reach out because they think, oh, they're too busy for me. But the truth is, not so many people actually do it, and the cut through is actually quite easy compared to what you might imagine in your head. So I do recommend click those links that we have down below. If you're on YouTube, check the description. If you're in the podcast, check the show notes. Reach out, have a conversation with Jamal. He's not going to bite you. I just, when you meet good people, just like Jamal said, you know it, you feel it, right? And I tell you what, this is good people. And I do recommend reaching out. Any last words of advice you have for someone who's getting started in either organic content marketing or paid marketing? before we close this?
100%. And when it comes to all that stuff, I would say like my biggest tip is fail forward, like publish the post. Like you filmed it. Like, why are you waiting? Why are you waiting for it to be edited and get all the effects and whatever? Like, are you stressed about what your caption is? Like, just post it. You can't think of a caption? Post without one. You know what I mean? Like, fail forward. All of this stuff eventually is going to make sense, and it's going to become sleight of hand, and to the level where maybe your company is generating enough to where you can have an awesome team that's managing your account, right? So it's not about I need to be the best at everything that I do and I'm only going to do it once. Fail forward. When I'm failing, I'm actually super happy because I know I'm getting closer to my goal. The people that don't fail, they're never gonna win. I've never met a single person that is bigger than me with more experience in business that hasn't failed more than me, and that's what I respect. It's you fail so much you become numb to it, right? And that's what I would say is just fail forward. Who cares if you're failing? The people that are failing the most are also the ones who are winning the most. That's probably my piece of advice. And just to kind of like put a bow on everything, you mentioned that a lot of people may be shy. How about this? Anybody that messages me on Instagram and says that they're from Ken's podcast, I'll personally send you like a real selfie, just to show you that you're actually speaking with me. How about that?
Perfect. Guys, do reach out. Makes a ton of sense to connect with people who are doing what you want to do or who are succeeding in a way that you need a little bit of that in your life. So I highly encourage reach out, get in touch with Jamal. Jamal, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And I know that the audience is going to appreciate this too. And for everybody else, I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Ken. See you guys.